Oh, don't you worry. Hey, misbehaving and misunderstood here. Thank you for joining me again this week with my son Fat Sack. I hope you enjoyed last week, and here's the rest of that interview.
But yeah, to go back to your thing that you were talking about, where I was writing, blogging
Yes,
on
yes.
MySpace. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I would say that was probably like my emo phase in big swooshy air quotes. You
Yes.
can't see me, but I'm doing it right now, as sarcastically as possible.
That's what I did a while ago with the emo.
Because at that time I was trying to figure out like where I fit in,
Yeah.
and I discovered that I didn't fit in anywhere. Like I was the weird misshapen peg, and all of the square, triangle, rectangle holes that I was finding, I did not quite slot into it just fine.
Yeah.
And so, being a angsty teenager, the one thing that I saw that like spoke to me was, of course, the one thing that I then immediately like turned away from. And so there was a short period of time where like the idea of like the emo culture phase of teenagers, like around 2000-ish, I was just like vehemently against, like completely, just like, oh, dumb emo kids, don't want to deal with it. And then I would go on MySpace and write a bunch of dumb emo things. Like, stupid emo kids, whatever.
My mom won't let me have a pony.
Exactly. Like I remember I would specifically write poetry from the point of view of like a naive, stuck up, like stereotypical in my head emo kid who had like problems that were so insignificant that were earth shattering to them.
Yes.
Because it like satisfied me to a core level of being like, you don't know what true suffering is. You don't know what it's like to like live with like true awful things in your life.
Exactly. You broke a nail. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of thing. But eventually I realized that essentially all I was doing was mental masturbation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't getting anything out of it except for the fact that, like, you know, I was getting practice in writing. But I was getting practice in writing in a voice that wasn't mine and that I actively did not like.
Yeah. Sarcasm will only get you so far.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, so continuing on with this journey here, I would say that the people that I grew up with from high school on, the way that they sort of dealt with their life and how they became so quick-witted and sharp and everything like that is because they also went through a lot of hardships and a lot of, you know, ups and downs with their own upbringings and their own personal stuff.
Yeah.
And that they used humor and witticism to sort of be their shield from the world.
Yeah.
And growing up around that, I didn't quite see that at first.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like this is a new way of approaching how to deal with stuff. I enjoy this. Let's do this. And so I sort of went into that hard. And so I also became very cynical about a lot of stuff.
Yes.
I feel like in nowadays, recently, I've sort of lightened up on that cynicism.
Yeah.
I'm still very cynical. I'm still very cynical. Don't mistake that.
I was going to say, you're not going to grow out of that too soon, son. I don't think.
Well, I feel like that slight tinge of hopefulness, that slight tinge of like sincerity kind of creep into things a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just in my everyday life, and I realize that that's another thing of me starting over, of realizing like being cynical in a lot of ways, at least for the way that I approached it, was me trying to be quote-unquote realistic about stuff.
Yeah.
But it was also a way for me to sort of justify my actions in being a shittier person than I necessarily need to be.
It gives me a way of, I can be sideways angry at the world, and that's acceptable. That's socially acceptable.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so it's been difficult trying to unlearn that particular habit that I
Tell
picked
me
up.
about it. You know what's amazing to me is what you're talking about is the same time period for me. I'm growing up the same as you are. We're about the same age as far as that goes. I'm learning. I mean, this is the first time in 59 years that I have friends that I can say are friends longer than a year or so. You know, I've known people 13 years now, and they still consider me a friend, and that was not something I was used to at all. I mean, everything was temporary in my life up until 13 years ago.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt in general with just my upbringing. Everything was temporary.
Yeah, well, it was, baby. I mean, you never knew from one day to the next what I was going to sell or what somebody was going to steal or, you know, we were going to have to move and leave everything behind again. I mean, that was, that's not a fun way to grow up. My dad was a drunk, abusive man, and I grew up to be a drunk, abusive female, and I did everything I could not to be that, and I bent over backwards and became him anyway. And so, you know, the fact that you turned out so well-rounded is a testament to your fortitude. It really is. I mean, I might have helped a little bit, but mostly you. I mean, I talk about all the time how you raised me well. You never got the chance to be a child, and that was unfortunate. But in some ways, like your mom, you do let the child out as an adult, and a lot of adults can't do that.
Yeah, I would say, I think I disagree with your statement in that I didn't get to have a childhood. I mean, I did get to have a childhood. I got to play with toys and make friends and, you know, run around outside.
Yeah, but you had to be the adult a lot for your mom, is my point.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I would say that on the whole, there are situations that I was placed into where I had to be the responsible one.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. But there were plenty of situations where that was not the case, and I didn't have to be. And so, you know, like, thank you. Yes, thank you. I have a beautiful, wonderful snowflake, and it's great and beautiful and all of that. I will take those compliments and those sincere words to heart. But at the same time, it's also it wasn't as bad in these rose-tinted glasses. Like part of it is like the whole thing about starting over again. I feel like you really need to take inventory of what you currently have and assess and like do that sort of reflection, introspection. Really look inside and figure out like what's going on and why you do things the way you do, or why you make those assumptions, or why that's the first thing that jumps to mind when you think of something in one particular way. And looking back during that time and during high school and during just after graduating and now, even now, now that I've moved into a completely new city for the first time and I've been living here, like you have to look back and see what are all those things, and you have to be truthful about the things. Were they as bad as you think they were, or was it just because like your brain likes to associate negative feelings stronger?
That's right. That's right. That's true. That is true.
And you know, a lot of that's really difficult because it's personal. It's tied directly to you. It's tied directly to who you are as a person and why you are the way you are and who you are today because of the things that happened to you yesterday. And so it can be really difficult, like looking at that with clarity and with honesty, and saying, those really bad things that happened in your life that have sort of defined who you are and have like shaken the foundation and shifted the pillars that create the person you are today. Maybe they weren't nearly as life-shattering as you thought they were.
Yeah.
They just were the most life-shattering thing you had dealt with at that time.
Yeah, and I say every day, I wouldn't wish my childhood on anyone, but I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't have that childhood.
Right.
And I like who I am today, for the most part. I mean, there's still some rough edges, but for the most part.
It's always a work in progress.
Exactly. Now, starting over is, like I have said many times, we start over every day. Somebody cuts us off in traffic, we get pissed off. We might carry that for an hour or two, but we could start our day over at any time. We don't have to get into the rage on the freeway and shoot somebody, or get shot. When we kiss the grandbaby's knee because they hurt themselves, we start their day over, because we helped take the pain away. And usually starting over in my life, anyway, has come from my life becoming so painful that I just didn't want it anymore. I had to figure out what I didn't want from life to figure out what I did, kind of deal.
Right.
So I know I've watched Fat Sack evolve from this little guy making a chicken, put clothes on a roasted chicken and make it beautiful every holiday, and grow from the emo poems to this young man who is streaming video games and doing charities, and he's the adulting thing, but like I said, you found a way to let that child continue to play, and that's very important, or at least I think it is, because there's a saying in the 12-step program I am in. It talks about Rule 62: don't take yourself so damn seriously. Life for me is an adventure. You never know what's around the next corner. You don't know. It could be a zombie, or it could be the prettiest rose garden you've ever seen, because all the zombies have fallen to pieces over there in that rose garden and fertilized them. You never know. But at 13 years ago, I decided that life should be lived instead of just existing or surviving. It's an adventure, and part of the reason I have that attitude is because of this young man I'm talking to right here. See, I knew he had to get it from somewhere, and his dad was, no, he couldn't have got it from him. It had to be me, because I like being center of attention. So, but this young man, like I said, has been my mentor, my best friend, and he is, I can't say I have a favorite because I love all my kids, but he's the one that has dealt with me the most. And, he's a special young man. And y'all need to catch him on his Fat Sack gaming program. Brain fart. Help me out here, Ethan.
Yeah, you can go to fatsackgaming.com, or you can catch me directly on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/fatsack51.
Oh, really? Area 51? Really? You went there.
And then just recently, we moved, my girlfriend and I moved to a new city, which is a completely new thing for me because I lived in pretty much the same area my entire life. And so I'm starting over again, doing the streaming stuff and being this what's the official fancy word for it? Content creator thing.
Yep.
And figuring out how to be an adult now, and doing taxes, and understanding, like, why it's important to be involved in politics, and, all the dumb, boring adult stuff.
Yeah.
I remember when I was an angsty, angry teenager being like, oh, that stuff's dumb, I don't want to have to deal with that. That's future me's problem, and now future me is me. And,
yep. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure didn't quite show it all, did they?
Yeah, but that's okay. We're getting a new one of those, so we'll see how that actually.
Yeah. They got a new Charlie's Angels too. Oh my God.
But yeah, so starting over, sometimes it can be sort of seen as sort of like a sad thing, where it's like, oh, well, things sort of hit a down point, and now I need to leave that behind and do something else.
Yeah.
It can also be a happy thing. It's like, oh, this is really great. This is a good spot to stop and do something else.
Yeah.
And it can be, something that's outside of your control. Like, oh, well, these outside forces that I have absolutely nothing to do with and have no control over are forcing my hand. It's time to do something else.
Yep.
And there are a lot of different ways that your life can start over, and they can be in big ways, big sweeping changes that takes years and lots of personal reflection to accomplish, or they can be really small and be tiny moments, such as waking up every day and kissing the boo-boo to make it feel better when somebody scrapes their knee, like you said, and all of those different kinds of things.
Yeah. But the one thing that I've found, each time I've started over, it's been a little scary, but every time I've started over, it's been better than where I was. And sometimes not necessarily better, but different in a way that I needed.
Yeah. Yep, and like you said earlier, towards the beginning of the conversation, it sort of feels better because it's different.
Yeah.
The whole idea of and instead of it stop existing and start living kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm constantly talking to myself and others. I'm constantly looking for solutions today. I'm constantly wanting to better my world, and if at all possible, help others better their world through sharing my experience, strength, and hope. Whatever it is that's causing you pain, you can grow from that. And this young man just talked about that with me. And I know that's not always easy, but fortunately, I feel like I've always had a very special relationship with this young man. Maybe it's because I gave birth to him, I don't know.
That probably helps.
That does probably help. But we helped each other, I believe, become the people that we are. Today I can say that I'm a very proud mother, and did my best after he hit the age of 25 to let him be my son. And I hope I've been successful in that. But I've also found out that being brave doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It just means that you realize that you've been brave when you walk through the fear and you're on the other side, kind of deal.
You have to be afraid to be brave.
Yes, I believe so. I really do. Because there's nothing brave about doing something that doesn't scare you. Anything else that you would like to share or?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, this was a lot of fun. This was a great conversation. I really enjoyed having it.
I did too. I hope that my audience kind of gets a better understanding of where I'm trying to come from and what I'm talking about with the starting over. You were an excellent, excellent choice in interviews for that.
Yeah, whoever made that decision's a genius.
Oh, I know she is. Oh, that was me.
Oh!
Ha! So, anyway, thank you very much, Fat Sack.
Again, thank you for this. This was fun and exciting, and I enjoyed this a lot.
I did too. And also, Mr. Fat Sack, keep an eye out, not just an ear. I'm going to get my podcast started, but I'm also fixing to start videotaping some too, and doing the interviews, doing video interviews as well, and
awesome.
getting them out there. I'm going to be on. I can't pronounce it. I keep saying Patron, but that's not right.
Patreon.
Patreon. Thank you.
There it is. Yes.
I will be and on Facebook and on Instagram. And once I remember my passwords, I can be on Twitter and YouTube and all that. But anyway, yeah, keep an eye out for me because I'll be out there on video as well, not too long, in the not too distant future as well. Thank you again for being a part of my podcast, and thank you again very much for just being my son.
Thank you for having me, and I love you, Mom.
I love you too, son. You have a blessed rest of your evening. I'm going to let you get back to life on life's terms now.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
She puts on her makeup and brushes her long blonde hair. And then she asks me, do I look alright? I say yes, you look wonderful